Yeah, we're doing the festival circuit now. We're so happy to be here in Atlanta and to get this opportunity to kick off the festival. And we just did the same thing at Sundance, which was really, really exciting, but nothing really like being in the ATL, so we're excited to be here. And like the buzz on like Twitter and Facebook is super fun, so I think we're just happy to be here and bring it to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, we had been working on this project for 9 years, so it's totally a dream come true. Every step of the process past making it has been like icing on the cake, right? We never thought we'd be able to make the movie, and then we made it, and then we took it to Sundance, and that was crazy, and then Lionsgate picked it up, and that was crazy, and now we're doing film festivals, and that's amazing, and it's going to be in theaters in July, Regular people will be able to see this sort of brainchild of ours, and it's an incredible feeling. I don't think we barely knew what we were doing when we started writing the thing. So to be where it is now is just every step of the process is so much fun and so new. There's so much newness all the time.
So tell me about the process. I know it took 9 years. I think I around 10 years. Y'all didn't grow up together, but you met as young adults, or when did y'all meet?
I was 17 probably. So
yeah, I was 13, 14. We met in high school. I was a freshman. He was a senior.
Okay, that's right.
And
we were Berkeley High School. At
Berkeley High. We were both sort of involved in the poetry scene, and separately we're doing music stuff. And didn't really realize those things overlapped. And then when Diggs got back from Brown, I was running a recording studio in North Oakland, and we were looking for artists. And so a mutual friend of ours recommended he come in, and I knew him from high school, knew him from that scene. And we just hit it off, and it became like, let's collaborate on music. While we're doing that, let's collaborate on theater, and let's collaborate on this and that, and then now it's everything.
How much did the script or the film change over those years, or not much?
In some ways, a lot, but in some ways, like some of the scenes in the film are almost exactly, pretty close to word for word to what they were, when we wrote them 9 years ago, and then. But I think thematically it shifted a little bit. I don't know really how to talk about it without talking about the whole plot of the film, which doesn't really make sense to do. But I think the film deals with a lot of issues. One of them being that of police violence against young black men. And when we started writing the film, there was this feeling of shock when one of those happened. This intense sort of shock and outrage that was specific to this one person that it happened to, right? We started writing it right around the time that Oscar Grant was murdered in Oakland. And I was living up the street from Fruitvale Bar Station at the time. So there was this feeling of shock and sadness in Oakland. And now it's so commonplace that the narrative has changed to, another one. It's almost passé. So, which is awful, but in the writing of this film, the sort of way that we were dealing with that issue in the film had to change also.
There's so much in this film. So I wrote down some of the issues, because obviously police misconduct, there's race relations, gentrification, friendship, class, and love. I mean, it's a lot packed in. But I thought you did it so well. Did you ever worry this is too much?
No, the reality of
1 second.
yeah.
Mic interference here.
Somebody's on the loudspeaker.
Hold on 1 second.
Facebook Live. This is what live is like. What'd you have for breakfast? Nothing. Me either.
You either. Good.
Thought we'd talk about that longer.
Alright, sorry guys.
Get on down.
They're recording something in the next studio.
Oh, yeah.
So we just got fixed. Or no, we didn't. Hold on 1 second.
Good morning, Annabelle.
Good morning.
Hi. So good.
I'm good too.
I'm so sorry. I kind of like that Facebook is seeing the real.
This is what it's like, people. This is TV. This is live. This is what happens.
Okay, I thought one call would make it.
Save you money. Well, now she's talking about something pretty interesting.
I know. Bring that on, Annabelle.
It's going to be like when you're on the street doing a shot and somebody runs up behind you.
Right.
Yeah. Except this one's going on a lot longer. Do you guys want to meet Galaxy? Where's Galaxy? Galaxy.
He has 2 phones to his ear, so I think he's going to make this happen in terms of getting it fixed.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, it's
Oh,
fine.
nice.
We were going to need you to entertain Facebook.
We're
Live,
gonna bring you on a
Galaxy,
Facebook Live, but you don't get Galaxy today, unfortunately.
All right, Rafael, if you will. So we were talking about packing so many
Oh yeah,
issues into one movie, 95 minutes.
yeah. I mean, we tried to make a movie. We tried to make one of our prompts to ourselves was to make a buddy comedy in a world that wouldn't let it be one. What that means is a buddy comedy that doesn't ignore the world that's around it. And the minute that you give yourself that prompt, all you're really saying is like, let's treat this the way that life treats it, and all those things that you just listed off are the same things that intersect in our life every day. And we don't, we're not sitting there going like every day these are too many things. That's love and life and economics and race politics and class politics are like omnipresent at all times. And so I think we just wanted to show the day-to-day life of these characters, and like if it came up, it came up. And we don't try to put a nice bow on any of those things, and some of those things don't even track all the way through the film. But we don't stop them from crashing into the characters because that's life. That's how it functions. I think when we get the feedback that it feels very authentic, or that it feels these people feel real and the place feels real and people feel like they understand and love the characters, it's because we don't ever give them the opportunity to feel anything but three-dimensional.
And at first, like by the end, I found myself rooting for your friendship and for each other. But at first, it takes a second to get on your side sometimes.
Yeah, depending on who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Depending on whether or not you grew up around a Miles or a Colin, you're on board with different people. I think that's the fun of the film. Is like, it's a very polarizing story, depending on your vantage point in life.
Yeah.
And yet, David, I read, I'm not going to quote you, but you said something along the lines of, this film shows that there aren't these great deep divides necessarily, but sometimes it's the smaller differences that can cause friction or issues.
Well, I think within communities, like we grew up with a lot of Mileses and Collins. These are all sort of amalgams of real people who we grew up around. The race difference between them is that's not the thing that is going to tear them apart. They've been friends their whole lives, right? So that's not it. It's context, and sort of the changing context and the losing of context in the wake of gentrification, right? They are being perceived as people who are different than they think of themselves to be. And so it's those sort of like nuanced differences that I don't know that they get as much coverage or discussion because they're hard to talk about, because it's feelings, it's it's things that you have to examine in yourself. When I left Oakland, when I moved away from the Bay Area, I started identifying very strongly with the Bay Area because everywhere else was so different. So I was positioning myself in opposition to everywhere else that I was, because I didn't feel at home everywhere else. So those are the little things you have to examine about these situations that they're very personal, and so they don't make for great essays, and they don't make for great television discussions, but they hopefully make for a great film if what you're trying to do is just be honest about the way two people are interacting, or a whole community of people interacting.
With your histories, and of course, many people introduced to you through Hamilton, spoken poetry, rap it's not all over the movie, but it's in these really important and special places. How important was that?
It was one of the, in the initial one, it's what it was, we want to write a movie. What's it going to be? It's going to be about the Bay Area, and it's going to have verse. It was the initial prompt for writing a movie before we knew anything else about it.
Yeah, it started, the movie sort of came out of a series of poems that one of our producers, Jess Calder, saw me do on YouTube and reached out and was like, hey, I think the way that this language, she said, the way that this language works seems like it would really lend itself to film really well. And we were really young at that point, and making a film was so far removed from our reality. A play, sure, but a film is budget and people, it's a dream. But that was really her initial prompt, and we sort of assigned the town and wanted to sort of find the best two characters to to tell the story of Oakland through. And we knew that heightened, like all the Bay Area is very heightened. The style, the people, the conversations, like everything feels elevated, and so does the language, so does the vernacular. And so it felt very intuitive for us to go, okay, well, our art has always been in heightened language, whether it's rap or poetry or any kind of verse-driven theater work. And so this just felt like a great, easy intersection to introduce the way in which people talk and think in the Bay Area by using sort of poetry and poetic verse to show that in a condensed way in a film.
And I think what we found in that process is that it actually grounded it more. Once we figured out how to use it appropriately, I think it made the place seem more. We both have taught spoken word and rap for kids and in universities, but the big reason that it is important, I think, for kids to be introduced to poetry and to spoken word is because they're in this particular situation where nobody cares what they have to say. They have a lot of things to say, so you make it sound pretty. If you make it sound pretty, people will listen to you. And it functions the same way in the film, both within the film and on a macro level in the film. You listen when people are rapping. You hear it differently. It forces your ear to hear the things.
Absolutely. Let me bring it back to Atlanta. Have y'all spent much time here before, or any projects here in the past?
I've never worked here.
I've done tour dates here before.
Yeah, I've toured here with bands and stuff. But yeah, I love this city. But I haven't spent enough time in the city for sure. Yeah. I have great friends here.
And you'll introduce the film tonight, or what's the plan?
Yeah, we'll introduce the film.
Introduce it. Then there's a Q&A afterwards, I think. So if you're coming, you should stick around. Facebook. Don't leave in the middle.
I think it's sold out, right, though?
Oh, is it?
Sneak
Can't
in.
come. Sorry.
No, that's all right. You know how it works. You just rush the security guard. You get one friend to distract them, and then the three of you've done it before.
Well, thank you both very much. We're going to get a few shots of us sitting here, but we're going to say goodbye to Facebook. If you will, any last comments for our folks out there, or the release date for other than tonight's? You said July.
July 27th. Yeah, July 27th.
Yeah. I don't know when that's a limited release and then it goes wide.
Yeah.
And maybe August 3rd is what I'm hearing now for Atlanta. But in any case, whenever it goes wide, whenever it is in Atlanta, you should see it that weekend. That's going to be really helpful for us. Go see it as quickly as possible because it makes people think a movie is more important for some reason when you see it fast.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter.
Thank you both very much. I've been sharing your Twitter handles this morning. It's one of those films that I really liked it when I saw it, but I keep thinking about it, and that doesn't always happen. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. And so I think that, like, you got into my bones.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It was like that for us too, so I'm glad that it works that way for other people. I couldn't tell if we were just being narcissists or if that was actually true.
No, I really, I went to bed that night thinking about it. I couldn't sleep that night thinking about it, and then just kind of ever since. And I also like the fact that, this is just me,